Marcello here from Wandering Trader. Today we're going to be talking about the things you need to know before visiting Singapore. We're here at the beautiful Marina Bay Sands Hotel, the very famous infinity pool that you guys can see behind me. It is absolutely incredible. That's probably one of the first things that I want to let you guys know about, that only the people who stay inside of the hotel are actually allowed in the pool. You can come up on the observation deck if you are a visitor. So Faye's telling me you can pay $20 to come up, but you can't go in the pool unless you're an actual person that stays at the hotel. So what I would recommend, even though it's a little bit pricey, I think it's about $400 or $500 a night, is stay at the hotel at least one night so you can experience this. Come early in the morning when the sun comes up. I think the majority of the times it comes up at about 7. Just Google sunrise time and then go about 15 minutes afterwards and you should have the pool all to yourselves. I actually have a ton of pictures here, literally right over here with the whole pool by myself, so I highly recommend that. Obviously the Marina Bay, the famous flower kind of gardens, things that light up, I'll put a picture, I forget what they're called, is literally right next door as well. So highly recommend it. Obviously I think the majority of you guys have seen pictures of these of this place, and everything is great here. The hotel is a little bit plasticky. It's kind of like a tourist trap in a way, because they want to get them in and get them out kind of thing, but I still highly recommend it. So first thing is the plugs. You're gonna need the UK plug. If you guys don't know, Singapore was actually a UK colony. At one point it was part of Malaysia, but they decided to go ahead and become their own country. There's a ton of things to do here. I think I'll do a separate video about the best things to do in the country. Obviously they have everything from botanical gardens that the British set up to Universal Studios. There's a park here called Sentosa. Food here is exquisite. Places like this obviously are incredible as well. But the plugs you're gonna need is the UK plug. What I found as well is they're very efficient and very forward thinking here. So a lot of times if you don't have a plug, a hotel, for example here at Marina Bay, it doesn't matter what kind of plug you have, it's a multi-use plug. But either way, just bring a multi-use plug just in case. Keep in mind you won't need a voltage converter. That's an idea of way back in the day. Most electronics nowadays, you actually don't need them anymore unless you're using something like a hair dryer, which most hotels now provide. They speak English everywhere. I think I believe the date was 1970s. They teach everybody in school here, so they actually speak a variety of languages. Most people speak English. Now they speak Mandarin. If you need to say thank you, just say xie xie. Right? That's how you say, right? Xie xie. Otherwise, you can just say thank you because they should understand you. And they also speak other dialects, for example, Malay, and then something that they call Singlish, which is a local dialect here in Singapore. But you'll be able to speak English everywhere. It is, for the most part, a very expensive city. I always call this place kind of a billionaire town, not a millionaire town. But one of the things that most people don't know is that, well, obviously to support this kind of culture, you need a lot of low-cost labor. Here, one of the things that you may not know is actually hiring people from the Philippines for $500–600 a month is legal, okay? So they have a lot of, well, one, they have a lot of Philippines here, but they have a lot of local neighborhoods that are very cheap. They have an Indian neighborhood, Chinatown. So even though you can kind of get the feeling of Louis Vuitton and Prada on every single corner, you can then go to other places like Chinatown and Little India and other little local kind of neighborhoods to get the local feel of a place. I don't know if any of you guys have actually been to India, but if you go to Little India here in Singapore, it will look the same, it will smell the same, and it will definitely taste the same as well. So you can really get a lot of authentic food here in Singapore, which is absolutely great. So getting around, Uber is legal here. We never had a problem with the Ubers. Like other cities, like in Latin America, they're still having a lot of trouble with Uber in terms of the legalities and the let's say the crime or the danger against the taxis. But overall, I think here it's pretty well connected. You can get a taxi, you can get an Uber. The train as well can pretty much get you anywhere, including here, the Marina Bay Sands. You can get a train directly here. A taxi from the airport to here at Marina Bay is going to be about, I want to say 20-25 bucks USD. Actually, that's Singapore dollars. That's the local currency. The conversion, it should be, I think, $19-20, something along those lines, maybe less. But it's really simple to get around anywhere. I definitely recommend you guys poking around quite a bit, because it's a great city. For those of you that don't know, it's actually a city-state, which means that it's just one city inside of a state as well. Which is great. A few things that you guys should be careful about. If you, it is technically illegal to be gay. So if you're into that sort of thing, just make sure you be careful. There's probably a lot of things that go on under the table here. But one of the things that you may not know, and maybe something that you want to look up, is that it's a very strict, let's say, society, okay? So, years ago, I remember, I think about 10 years ago, an American got caned, you know, with the cane, hit with a cane, for spray painting cars, or spray painting in general, if I remember the story correctly. So just be a little bit careful with things here, because obviously the penal code, the law is very, very strict. So one of the things obviously is it's illegal to be gay or have gay sex, especially when it comes to two men. I'm sure they allowed 2 women, because who obviously wouldn't enjoy that? Women and men. But just be careful with that, okay? And another thing as well is be careful littering. Gum used to be illegal here as well. When they opened up a treaty or they made an agreement with the US, it's not as strict anymore when it comes to the gum. But just be careful with that kind of thing here, because people here are very, very, let's say, law-abiding citizens. So you don't want to do things that you shouldn't do. I would absolutely recommend that you do not do anything with drugs here, because there's a life sentence, a prison sentence for that. Obviously, you know, I don't know what you guys are into, but I definitely don't recommend it here, because they're very, very strict when it comes to that kind of thing here, and you definitely don't want to get in trouble with that kind of thing. Safety here, you have absolutely nothing to worry about here in Singapore, as I mentioned, due to the fact that things are very, very strict. It's extremely safe. I haven't seen one police officer out on the street while we were poking around. I've been saying that a lot, not poking around, it is, I'm saying that. But yeah, it's a great city, a great place to visit. It's very central. I highly recommend the Singapore Airlines first class if you guys can either afford it or get it with your miles. It's an absolutely incredible experience. There's coach, obviously economy, there's first class, and then obviously there's Singapore first class, which is absolutely amazing. Looking through my list here, I think that's pretty much all the things that I had remembered to talk about. A few of the things with the best things to do. Obviously say it again?
Visa.
Visas? You don't need a visa to come here. So the Marina Bay Sands obviously is something you should definitely consider. A lot of the things around here are great to do. You have I keep forgetting the name of the flowers, but I'll put them on a picture. It's the flowers that turn purple.
Orchids.
Orchids. The orchids. So the first thing obviously is the Marina Bay Sands. This whole area has great things to see, great things to do. Obviously experiencing this hotel, staying here a night or two is something I would recommend, because the pictures and things that you can get here is amazing. The Ferris wheel, which is I don't really recommend. It's a great picture, but obviously you get better views on top of the hotel here. The flowers that they light up right next door is here in Marina Bay as well. The really famous Merlion, which is a half mermaid, half lion with the fountain that comes out, is near here as well. They have things like the Botanical Gardens, which is created by the British. They have a ton of orchids there, which is very beautiful. And as I mentioned before, they have the Universal Studios. They have another theme park called Sentosa. Great restaurants here, great things to do. And obviously there's great parties as well. One of the ways that I always judge a society or a country is if they have salsa dancing That means that they're a very open society, very friendly, they like to have fun. So there's definitely a really big salsa scene here in Singapore, and I highly recommend it. You can save money a few different ways. Obviously, there's a lot of hostels that you can stay at, but there's a lot of local food that you can also enjoy as well, as I mentioned, in the local neighborhood. So, you know, buy some local food. You'll save quite a ton, because I remember here about 5 years ago, I was spending about $80 for lunch, which is just a steak and a mashed potato. So that's all you need to know when you come to Singapore. Let us know if you guys have any questions. Enjoy the view, and we'll talk to you soon.